right, I'm gonna unload a little bit more and say what it is I feel about ARPGs. You're gonna like, even if you think that there aren't enough ARPGs yet, you're bound to get more of them. You're gonna get more and more of them. Don't worry, ARPG fanboys and girls. You're gonna get more and more developers because look at the sales numbers don't lie. I mean, with 50 million sales going to uh like I said, 50 million units of Skyrim sold, 50 million units of The Witcher, 60 million with Skyrim, 60 million, 50 million of The Witcher 3, and Final Fantasy like 15, selling 10 million, and all these other sales figures and everything. You're going to get more ARPGs. I mean, with these games making money hand over fist, like that's just an inevitability that's going to happen, you know. And that's just inevitably going to happen. So sorry, I was reading a comment that somebody left in response to me there, YouTube. But no, my frustration in the shape of it is just ARPG gamers are getting everything that they could possibly want. And the truth of the matter is that even though right now they might not have it all just yet, they're going to get it because action RPGs are selling like hotcakes, basically. So somebody's eventually going to make a game for you, and everybody will point out that Square Enix's like only title that's actually action RPG is the mainline Final Fantasy series, and that's like the ultimate reason why they get so defensive of it is that why can't we have at least one game from them that's action oriented? And it's like, because you've got Zelda Breath of the Wild, you've got the sequel to the Zelda game, you've got Dark Souls, you've got Skyrim, you've got the whole mythos behind The Witcher 3, you've got all these other titles, and there's going to be more and more and more of them, like judging by that post that I put on Imager, like there's two titles as well for that whole thing. And you, the whole, there's Elden Ring as well, and you've got Sekiro as well, and all these other alternatives to that. You're in a period now where basically action RPGs are all the rage in the world, and so fucking immensely popular that you're gonna get your wildest dreams of games fulfilled for you with something eventually, basically. And I can't help but stare at that. I'm like, why can't we that prefer turn-based have at least one company all to ourselves in response? you know like, every game developer studio is going to have a heavy interest, given how well action RPGs are selling, in making one of them at this point. And even if they aren't here yet, they're going to be on the horizon. So my own annoyance and frustration is that, like, what's going to become of those that prefer turn-based games in that environment? And I look at it and I want a mainline entry into the Final Fantasy series that is ultimately turn-based again, not because of the fact that I don't get that Square Enix has spent, most of their games are turn-based. I get Team Asano is very popular, and that their games are like all the alternatives that aren't Final Fantasy on the Switch and everything. But these guys want to covet Final Fantasy itself to themselves as action RPG fans, and I would respond in kind. That the one reason why I find myself so in objection to what you're saying is that even if we are not yet at the point in which we have reached complete saturation of ARPG titles, we're heading slowly into that world. It's getting more and more and more that way. It's on its way to being that way, you know, even if we're not quite there yet, and so it's like, it's actually you who I would accuse of being greedy, because you won't let us have one game studio to all to ourselves as turn-based fans. You have to have every developer making games for you. Why can't one make games only for those of us that prefer turn-based?